paper for a couple of different times, 4 weeks I think total, and received some applications. Looks like 10 in total, and I guess I'm open to have all 10, or I've got 7 names I recommend. So I guess.
What was going to be, what did we do the size of that?
I think it was 7, because you get too many people and it gets counted up.
Yeah, but it wasn't total 7. How big we had? Was there a representative from the council?
Who's going to be me and Steve, chair? And
So there'll be a total of 9 with my 7 recommendations.
And then the other 2 from the
So
council.
That'd make a total of 9.
7 from the applicants, 2 board members.
7 citizens at large.
So
And
you
2.
could review what's their job description. I mean, as the board, what would the board's function be?
Advisory board, this is an advisory board. They look over things and make recommendations to the chief, bring to this board.
We got that much stuff going on that we need 9 people to make a decision to bring it to 7 more to decide.
Well, I think the purpose of it, get more public input.
Well, I think where we're looking at having to do a tax, I think that was, in my opinion, part of this was because we're looking at having to do a tax increase.
That's the main purpose.
That's my opinion, but
I think to get a plan in place, a 0 to a 5-year plan as far as equipment, the direction that the fire department's going, and then a 0 to a 10-year plan, you know, they'll have to be revisited, but that's kind of what I'm trying to look through, just not equipment, but personnel or personnel policies.
Your idea is
Just
to
kind
meet
of-
once a month.
And input on things like equipment replacement policies and things like that. So that's kind of what I think the advisory board's job would be, to kind of help us make those decisions, or just help give input from the public, and then bring that back to this prior board, and for us to decide from there. Mr. Chair, how do you want to go about selecting members?
Well, I think the chief may have some recommendations. He's looked at the applicants. I haven't seen the applicants.
I guess if we're gonna go there, I guess we probably ought to go into executive if we're gonna talk about personnel.
Well, I think, you know what, Manager Davis makes when we have boards, they make applications to him, he reviews them. He makes a recommendation to us. We only need to go into a closed session if somebody has a question or a concern on one of your 7 recommendations. And then otherwise, we either vote them up or down. We might say, we'll accept these 6, not this one, give us another one. Isn't that kind of how we do it with Mike Davis?
or just accept or deny and have.
Yeah, you can
If we
say
like it, then we accept the recommendation. If we deny, we ask them to come back with
But
something.
with this position, we normally don't get to see all of the applicants. Is that right?
We don't on Mike, when Mike makes one, we don't, in fact, we can't even, by our former government, we can't even talk to him about those. When we're looking for planning commission and all of those, we can't even discuss that with Mike Davis.
This is a little different here. We can know who all 10 were and have some input on that, I would believe. Wait.
But I don't think you can do it in a closed session.
Yeah, you can. And
If you
then-
have a,
Personnel, personnel.
if you have a question or
You can talk about
concern.
an individual's character and ability. So how do you want to proceed?
Who are these people?
You want to hear the chief's recommendations?
Sure.
You've chosen 7 from the 10.
I have.
I wouldn't mind hearing this big one.
Okay. Rick Wortham, he's, I'll just give you a little quick background of where he lives. Some of these was picked because of the location where they live. Some of them was picked by their taxpayer. One of them is a 100% taxpayer. He's not a resident, but he owns a home here. I thought he would have great background. But anyway, Rick Wortham lives in Jordan Basin. Gilbert Rodriguez, he has a cabin in Timber Lakes. He's the one that isn't a resident. Gary Kilgore is a Midway resident. Dennis Gowdy is a Midway resident. Mary Duggan is a Daniels resident. Dave Kendler is in Lake Creek. And Merle Rollins is from the Wildland back there. Those are my sons.
These residents.
Okay, Mary Duggan,
He's Heber City resident.
Merle Rollins, and I missed that.
Dave Kendler.
Okay.
Some have fire background, some don't,
Correct.
but all are taxpayers in Wasatch
Actually, there's
County.
1, 2, 3, 4 that have structural background, and then Merle Rollins has wild, and 2 others are,
But all are taxpayers in Wasatch County.
everyone.
You got a pretty good spread. You got a few from Midway, Daniel, Merle Rollins is Heber City, some of the east.
Now, I think it's a great pick, but so,
I only know 2 of the applicants, so I don't know anything about the other one. Does anybody want to hear the other 3 that were not picked, or?
sure. Okay. I don't want to foul this name up, but I say Shane, Bill Quatt, and Nick Lopez. What's the other 3?
I think it's Bill Watt.
Yeah.
He lives in the east. I don't think he does too.
Greener Hills, I think.
Okay, what's the board?
That first one lives in Deer Mountain, I believe.
What's the board's preference?
You know, I think the larger the committees, the more difficult it is to work with. I'm not sure why we do 9 advice, 7-member board.
Let's advise 5, the 2 of us are agree on them.
Everybody already has their opinion.
No,
It would be 7 plus
7, and then the 9 with the 2 others.
I got you.
I think the more input we get, the better off we are, and it's just an input.
Sure. As far as whoever's running the show can keep it under control, it just makes it hard for discussion the more people you have in there. But it's good to get their input.
And maybe some of these may not be able to make it every meeting either, so.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when you have that many, it's because not everybody's scheduled. We know how hard time we all have being here every time.
We-
Wind up with 7 there.
Have we done any discussion on term on these, we can stagger, or is this a 2-year?
This is as needed, isn't it?
I think
Well, I'd like to see it be permanent. So we ought to have a term.
Well, like you said, you got 7, you could say 4 and 3. Is it a 2-year or 4-year? What, have you thought of that? If it was a
It's split it
4-year,
in half, I guess.
you could choose 4 of these that are on a
I
2-year.
think I'd make it 4 and have it.
4 of these would be replaced or reapply in 2
Yes.
years, so you get your rotation going.
Or just leave them all 4 and I'll be gone too.
Well, the new chief's gonna want to.
Some sort of continuity.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to have the applicants come and get to know them better? Or are you just comfortable with the recommendation, or do you know most of these? Danny, you only know 2, right?
I know 2 that were recommended, I know 2 who didn't make the cut.
You want them to come here and get time to do a 30-second speech so we get to know them a little better, or forget that?
I've got a question. How were these applicants chosen? Was there an interview given? Does Chief Giles know every single person and their qualifications?
They hadn't made an application in resume.
But was there an interview, or have you talked to them on the phone or anything? Nothing? Absolutely.
Most of these I know all personally,
You know every one of them personally,
other than 2 that I didn't pick.
based on you not knowing who they are?
Well, I read the resume. They're the ones that put the resume together.
Okay.
And put it together.
Well, because I can say one of the applicants that didn't get chosen is very highly qualified, so that's my concern as a citizen. That's all I want to say.
Which one of the 7 isn't?
Which one of the 7 isn't? I don't know a lot of those people, so I'm not going to make a comment on the ones that were chosen. All I'm saying is there's a very highly qualified person that wasn't chosen. So that's my concern, is what interview process or anything was given. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, board do, or Steve, you want to go through an interview process with the board, or?
I think we're making this a bigger issue. I mean, this is an advisory board, they have no authority. They just give input to the chief and to the board. I think I'd like to go ahead with the recommendation of the board and get it started. And as we get into it and see the success or the failure of it, then
only concern, and this is not personal, my only concern is that, let's say this advisory board advises the board at large to go for a tax increase. Will it be said, we let Ernie pick his own board to tell him what he already wanted to know? Because we know how the fire tax
Well,
increase.
that can always be said.
Well, but
But I don't know if it's going to be up to this board, this advisory board, to make the determination whether we go for a tax increase or not.
Right, but one of the things that we would potentially say is the advisory board thinks it's a good idea, we think it's a good idea, so one of our pillars of making a decision may be the advisory board. What I want to do is avoid the potential.
I don't think we'll ever be able to avoid the potential as when it comes to a tax increase.
And if you know, I mean, I know the history, and I know a handful of the names on the list who have been very, I don't want to say non-supportive, but have certainly signed petitions against what the chief has recommended. So I think it's a good mix, quite honestly, with a couple of members that I know who they are, and where their stand has been in the past. So I'm happy to hear a handful of names, quite honestly. So I'm with you, Steve. If you were making that motion, I'd second it to take the recommendation and
You make the motion and
I make the motion that we take the 7 names recommended by the chief, move forward.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I'd like to add, I guess amend that motion that with these 7 names, just to formalize a little bit, that you randomly select
2 and 4.
4 of them
Oh.
for a 2-year term to start, and then the other 3, you just put the
Oh,
7 in one hat,
Why
throw them out, I
don't
think.
we leave that up to the board to make that recommendation? The advisory
On who's
board.
who?
I'll amend the motion that in the first meeting, they organize the terms of the board
I'm
members.
fine with that. Second, fine with that.
Any more discussion?
So do we want an alternate at all?
No.
You're the alternate.
No.
I thought we already had too many.
Not with 7. Not with 7. I think.
right?
I think that's why we pick so many, if in case there can't be.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chief, can you notify the individuals?
I'll notify all of them, but
Yes.
I just have one litigation for closed session.
Okay.